Rated T for teen.
The first campaign in Empire Earth II: The Art of Supremacy is The Rise of the Nile, and this covers a time period from roughly 2200 BC to 2000 BC. And it involves making the Egyptian nation powerful. You have to free groups that are enslaved, you need to deal with bandits, you need to establish some of the first big cities, as well as partake in the mythology of the time with various temples and such. You'll actually have to build a number of the great monuments that you associate with ancient Egypt, from the Sphinx to pyramids to other temples.
Some of the monuments that you'll create, you'll actually create wonders, and they'll give you additional powers and help you out as you play.
The Napoleonic campaign in Empire Earth II: The Art of Supremacy spans the time period of late 1700s to mid 1800s and really follows Napoleon's rush across Europe.
You're playing as Tsar Alexander, and you're in charge of your Russian forces. In the beginning, what you're doing is kind of helping out other allies to fight against Napoleon. And you'll also have to figure out a way to make peace with them for a little while you try and gain more territory yourself and build up your forces so that you can survive the final conflict with him.
You'll learn to both love and hate Napoleon, as all of his friends eventually did, and you'll be equally glad when he's banished to exile at the end of it. When we're sitting down and trying to figure out what new to add into the game, it's a long process, but one of the areas and set of nations that we thought was important to add in was the African nations, and we have a campaign on the ascendancy of Africa in the modern times. We're really the first big-name RTS to touch on the African continent in any significant way whatsoever.
Turning points are cool because you're playing from both sides of history to see how history would play out. Can you defeat your adversary and create the outcome that history knows as fact? Or do you play it the other way and do a what if? What if the other force won, and how would that affect history?
We've added two new Turning Point campaigns, and the first is Rorke's Drift, which is the traditional battle of the British versus the Zulus, where the British were much more technologically advanced, but the Zulus were far more numerous.
It's an interesting kind of clash between almost a Stone Age or Bronze Age culture and a more modern industrial age. And it can be very nerve-wracking, but it's a lot of fun to play.
The second Turning Point mission that we have is Kursk, which is one of the great battles in World War II that had a huge impact on deciding the course of the Eastern Front for the Germans, and that in turn affected the whole war. And it's a very, very pivotal battle in the history of World War II.